point is, try what works for you. Yeah. I've had people give me all kind of lessons on the golf course, and I can still break 150.
In which direction?
That's very interesting, buddy. I mean, that's exactly right. There are people that sit in their seats straight up. There are people that lay down. Dale Earnhardt uses a complete different seat than everybody. Him and here you see Jeff Gordon right now. Everybody sits different. It's your preference. And that was a very good piece. Thank you.
Getting set for the restart. Chevys, Fords, and Pontiacs in this race today. Ed from Nebraska on the 800 number. Why don't they run Buicks? Well, Ed, each car company decides which nameplates they want to support in NASCAR racing. General Motors a couple of years ago whittled it down from Chevy, Pontiac, Buick, and Olds to just Chevy and Pontiac. So those are the nameplates that offer support to the teams in the forms of sheet metal and other incentives. Ford Motor Company, it's the Ford Thunderbird. They don't support the Mercury Cougar or the Lincoln Mark. And Chrysler, well, who knows? Chrysler with the new Dodge Avenger may be looking at Winston Cup racing. They are active in ARCA right now, and I know Buddy is an ex-test driver and race winner for Chrysler Corp. You'd like to see them back.
Studebaker, Hudson, you name
anybody.
Anything had a round wheel on it, I've run it one time, believe me.
Bring it on.
You know, once again, I'd like to say that Chuck Brown is okay. That was very scary, and especially myself and Buddy were really delighted he got out of that car all right.
Going to get green this time by. We are 62 of 200 laps complete. At Pocono International Raceway, they come off turn 3. Lapped cars one or more laps down to the inside. And we are underway. Green once again.
Ernie Irvin got an extremely good jump there in second. He'd moved right up on the deck lid of the 2-car of Rusty Wallace.
Show you how they lined up for the restart with our Napa Field standing update. We keep America running, and we'll show you how they're running. Rusty Wallace, Ernie Irvin. Lake Speed 1 lap down right with them.
Boy, these two have set sail right now with these new tires on. Rusty's leading Ernie. It somehow seems lately here that those 2 cars are always out front. Looks like a repeat from Dover. But look to the right of your screen, the distance that they have already stretched out. The 15 car of Lake Speed is a lapped car. And here's Brett Bodine coming up off of the corner.
And look at that snarling pack behind them. There's Brett Bodine, Mark Martin, and Dale Earnhardt, and behind them, everybody.
There comes Ricky Rudd out, making it 3 deep down the front straightaway, and there comes old conservative Darrell making it 4 wide down the front straightaway.
And once again, he left his brother out to dry. You're riding with Jeff Gordon. There's third gear.
You can see when he shifted up in the third there.
Now, some drivers shift 4 times, not just 2. Let's see if he grabs 4th gear on Long Pond here, or if he leaves it in 3rd.
I think he'll leave it in there. He's racing pretty hard to be doing a lot of gear changing right at the moment.
Okay, so he's a 2-shift driver.
Well, for anybody that had any questions on our fax line,
Ricky Rudd really got loose there.
Stay tuned here on this camera shot. We'll show you more shifting coming down this front straightaway.
We're not talking about Ricky Rudd. He's very lucky to get that car back straight again. They went in the corner. He took the air off the rear spoiler by running so close in behind him there, and he was really lucky to get that car back straight. There comes Darrell Waltrip on the inside of Ricky Rudd now, trying to make a pass, and Michael Waltrip right behind him.
And Kenny Schrader. And Terry Labonte. Well, Ricky, if he doesn't get to the bottom, he's going to get a freight train right here.
Looks like he's going to get back in there. Those are those new tires. Even though he got to the outside, he was able to hold the car down and get himself even out and get in the single file line. It's lucky he didn't get stuck to the outside.
This is 9th place on back.
Yeah, you see Darrell getting around this racetrack. He's won here quite a bit, and he knows the proper way around this racetrack. Michael's getting some good moves.
You know, buddy, you told me a really interesting fact earlier today talking about Daytona. You got to love Daytona to win there. And don't you agree? I think this is one racetrack that Darrell Waltrip loves. He seems to run good here all the time.
Well, he runs well, but look who's leading this thing. Does this car have a name for it? Everybody else names all their cars. Does Rusty Wallace name his cars?
Well, Mike Joey has a lot of statistics on this car. I believe this is Midnight.
Yeah, I have everything but a name on it. It's 003 is what they call it. I don't think it has a pet name. It won the pole in the race at Bristol in 1991. It won here at Pocono in 91. It sat all year in '92. In '93, it was rebodied as a Pontiac, won the pole in the race at Richmond, the night race. And this year they put a T-Bird body on it, and it won the pole in the race at Martinsville. Now, it's kind of interesting that you'd bring a Martinsville car here to Pocono.
Yes, it is. But, you know, more and more the rules are more evened up. For instance, I know for a fact, you know, and I don't like to bring up Rusty's team all the time, but I'm close to them. The car that they won Martinsville with, they went to Atlanta and won the race too. So the cars are getting more even. When we say we're building a short track car, we're talking about a car as light as we can get it. So everybody's running these cars just about everywhere now.
Before this last stop, you could see Brett Bodine just moving right in on everybody. Now he's struggling to stay in 4th place. Mark Martin made some adjustments on this car, and he's running in 3rd. But here's the story right now. Rusty Wallace is moving right along with Ernie Irvin. They seem to be breaking the draft on everybody else behind them.
Does this race more equalize between, let's say, the less physical drivers because it's only 200 laps and because there are such long straightaways to get a break?
Well, you don't really have that much break. As you can see down the front straightaway, you're 4 wide sometimes. You're having to use a lot of mental, and I think the mental conditioning of a winner is the most important part of getting ready to win races, not the physical aspect, because the cars have power steering, they have excellent seats in them. Everything's built to hold that race car driver in a good place in that race car. I think mentally it's very tough to get ready to win.
Good point. Let's take you to the top 5. Here is Rusty Wallace, Ernie Irvin right with him. 3rd, 4th, 5th. In a pack, Mark Martin, Brett Bodine, Dale Earnhardt. And in the top 5, the big 4, and plus Brett Bodine.
Well, Earnhardt used up every bit of that wall. As you see him coming up off, either he's pushing or he's loose. It's hard to speculate right now, but he was in the gas wide open. He used every bit of that racetrack up coming up off turn 2.
We're watching him come up out of the corner. The car's running pretty straight there, but down in 1 and 2, he's really having to struggle with that race car to keep it down low.
Well, that's the neat thing about this racetrack. If you're real good in turn 3, you're not going to be so good in turn 1. Some guys are, some guys aren't.
It's a lot like Darlington. Darlington, you set up for the bigger corner, which is 3 and 4 there. You don't worry too much about 1 and 2. You just kind of slide it through there and hope for the best.
You know, you can watch the momentum work here now, Ernie.
We have a wreck up in turn 4.
One car sitting. Is that Jimmy Spencer?
It looked like Jimmy Spencer's car has come to rest up there. It's got some impact on the rear, just behind the left rear corner there. You can see the back end shorten up considerably.
Yeah, I think Jimmy's in trouble here. His day might be over. Like I said last week, these rear ends are made of 2x3 square tubing, and it looks like the fuel cell is pretty close to the ground right now.
Yeah, that's become a much smaller bag of French fries than it was. Heavy damage on the left front corner and the left rear of the McDonald's Ford at his home racetrack.
Man, like you said, there's a whole bunch of damage there that you can't see. Starting at the trailing arms and everything. He'll probably take that one right behind the wall.
Yeah, that's a shame. He seems very upset there because he's not really going into the pits very easy. So maybe if we get a replay of that, we can see what happened.
We're under caution once again. 70 laps complete here at Pocono. This will be the 4th caution flag of the day. Huge crowd on hand here in the infield of Pocono, and this place is just packed. And the grandstands sold out.
Great race fans, you know that. At 7 o'clock this morning, I'd have bet everything I've ever made in racing that we would never see a green flag today. Here we are. These people, they show up as a capacity crowd here.
Well, you know what they did? They honored Hal Marchman, Reverend Hal Marchman, with the Bill France Senior Pocono Award of Excellence. And he brought some of that Daytona Beach Chamber of Commerce weather up here with him.
Yeah, it never rains in Daytona over 5 minutes at a time.
That's right. And we needed it for today after yesterday was a complete washout. Let's get an update on Chuck Bowen. Here's Randy.
Well, I like to say this as delicately as possible. Chuck Bound did walk out of the ambulance into the infield care center. They're looking him over. They decided for precautionary reasons they are going to take him out in the chopper over my shoulder. They're going to take him to Lehigh Hospital and further examine Chuck Bound. Of course, in this business, to take a hard lick that Chuck Bound did, they said he's still very, very woozy, and they just want to make sure that he's okay. So they're going to take him to the hospital and check him out. But they're going to take him out of here in the chopper.
Good point, Randy. You can't be too careful. I mean, when you impact the wall at 160 miles an hour, certainly every precaution certainly should be taken. Let's go to the Mark Martin pit. Here's Glenn.
Well, Mike, in addition to the 4-tire change, they're going to make a little adjustment on the car. Jack Roush put some adhesive on a piece of tape, told the guy to put it on the front of the car. The engine is running a little too cool, and the car's got a little push, so they're going to try to increase the downforce on the nose of that car a little bit. You can see the guy right there putting that piece of tape over there. 4 tires. They're hoping that that will help the car take the push out of the car, make it run a little quicker and a little hotter.
Thanks, Glenn. Pit stop's complete. They'll line up for the restart. We'll have that for you when we come back to Pocono International Raceway as you watch from Mark Martin's car. We'll be right back.